Life doesn't stop when the workday ends. On True HR Beyond the Office, Shannon Clark Johnston tackles topics that affect our lives in and out of the workplace. With conversations on mental health, reinvention, self-empowerment, and more, we share actionable insights to inspire meaningful growth. Join us for candid insights and guidance to help you build resilience, create balance, and thrive with confidence in all areas of your life.
We've all heard the phrase, dress for the job you want. But in a world where so many interviews, meetings, and first impressions happen online, what does that advice look like now? Our guest today is Kelly-Ann Lawson, a powerhouse stylist with over 35 years of experience in fashion, skincare, and personal branding. She's the founder of a transformative styling business and helps entrepreneurs and professionals show up confidently on camera. Whether you're preparing for a high-stakes virtual interview, leading a client presentation, or growing your personal brand online, Kelly-Ann helps you elevate your virtual presence from average to unforgettable. She's here today to share the small shifts that create a massive impact on how you're perceived in the digital world. Welcome, Kelly-Ann.
Well, hello, Shannon. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
I am too, but Kelly-Ann, I was a little stressed out because I'm like, she's going to look at me on camera and
Everyone always thinks that.
she's going to tell me it's all wrong. No, it's great to have you here because I think this is such a topic that is so needed today, right? And maybe not one we spend enough time on, right?
You're 100% right. And that's why I was so excited to be here.
Yeah, I love it. So let's talk first about how you personally, because you've been in styling for so long, realized that this was a need and this was something that you wanted to help people with, and that you had to make this shift to really focus on the virtual presence versus that in-person presence.
Absolutely. So Shannon, for years I was working at high-end retail stores and had personal clients. And when you're not actually online, it's a whole different world, as you know. So you have your energy. I was doing skincare, makeup, styling, and people were doing in-person events, or I had celebrities and they were doing their thing. Well, everything changed when everything went on virtually. And that is where I saw that people's expertise was not translating the way that it really needed to translate. So that's when I realized that, this virtual presence, this is a whole new frontier.
Yeah.
So I wanted people to really be able to show themselves in a way that people needed to see them, to invest in them. And that's how it all really came about. And of course, with, the onset of COVID in that really catapulted everything.
Yeah, so true. People were virtual before that, but not to the extent during COVID. And then of course, after we sort of stayed here for the most part.
Right.
And I get it from my perspective, more like a body language perspective. I've learned, for example, you're really limited. You don't have as much body language. You don't have that in-person presence. So, making sure that, you're smiling or you're using your hands or something appropriately, very important. But tell me what it means for you from a styling perspective to have a strong virtual presence. What are you thinking about when we say that?
Definitely. So that strong presence, you have a tight frame, as you could see, and as you've spoken about. So first of all, it's all about listen, they say, Shannon, that your face tells the story about your potential for success. So people are going to really need to see the expression on your face, eye contact. This is all part of the nonverbal cues. So this is very important where you have the ability in person to do it differently. So they really need to be cognizant of how they're actually translating themselves online because it reads differently. Yeah. So that comes to even your clothing. Your clothing reads differently. You can't have busy patterns. And I'm sure we'll talk about tips later, but that strong presence has to do with your background. Yeah. Has to do with the way that energetically you show up. your facial expressions, your eye contact, and everything else from your style. It needs to be congruent with your message. So it's really an extension of who you are going through the lens of what people are seeing.
Yeah, for sure. So you brought up the clothing. So let's start there.
Mhm.
No busy patterns. We know that now. Any specific colors? What are some of the things? And also you mentioned this sort of matching your message. Can you talk a little bit about that and really just some practical tips on what people should and shouldn't wear?
Absolutely. So when it comes to, we'll start even with like, we'll do the colors. When it comes to colors, they have to be really very in touch with your own skin tone.
Mm.
So to find out whether or not you're a cool tone or a warm tone, you could even do a practical tip, like put a white, blanket over you, and then just put gold, any sort of like gold jewelry up to you. See if your skin tone matches it. Does it take away or does it accentuate your skin tone?
Mhm.
Then do it with silver. If you're silver and it works, then you're more on the cool colors. So you're the purples, you're the blues, things that are very cool and calming. If in fact it's gold, like say Jennifer Lopez, then you have that more heated colors. So you have those, golden hues. You have some sort of browns. You have olive greens. You have a fluctuation of a palette, especially if you can do both, which we
Mhm.
call the neutral palette. So a lot of us, I can do both colors. So it's all about making sure that it's accentuating your skin tone and bringing out the best in you. Make sure that, like we said, it's not a patterned outfit. A lot of times when you're in a tight frame, there's distraction, it's amplified. So that's where we talk about background being simple. But for clothing, busy patterns might take the eye off of you, and they're not listening then to your message, and they're more focused on the patterns.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. You want to wear solid colors. You want to wear a color that stands out against your background, not blends in. So many people I see, Shannon, they're wearing black and then they have like
They have their head. Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
you're good. You're with the white. And
Mhm.
let's talk about white and black.
Yeah.
Black absorbs light. So sometimes you can get really lost in the frame.
Yeah.
And white absorbs light, but in a different, it can reflect light. So the thing is you have to be very careful how you actually put your background if you're wearing any of those colors, and your lighting is essential.
Yeah, let's talk about the lighting because that is something I think that could be intimidating to people. They don't think it's necessary, but I know for me, when I started doing a lot of virtual meetings during COVID, I got a ring light to put kind of hooked to my laptop, and I was shocked at how much better that was. And that was not even a big, huge ring light. So
Yeah.
tell me how that helps and what that does for people.
Absolutely. So what you want to do is, a lot of people, they don't know how to, light themselves up. And the thing is that, again, talking about face, your face needs to be very well lit. And again, warm lighting's always better, but the best lighting, of course, is natural lighting. So if you have any windows,
Yeah.
always face towards the window. Never have the light behind you, as a lot of us know. But hey, sometimes this is new for people. So I always suggest go for natural lighting. It's the best option. It will always make you look the best you can look. If you have overhead lights, make sure that it's not too harsh and it's not too direct. If it is, you could do simple things. Like I have one person who actually puts a cloth over it just to dim it, where there
Soften.
is
Yeah.
just enough light. And this like works wonders. So if you need additional lighting, again, you can use a light like a lamp or the ring light, but put it again in front of you and to the side. Always make sure that it's
On
on
the
an
side.
angle
Okay.
instead of directly to you. Some people, ring lights irritate their eyes. So, they might want to do just a standing lamp and just have it off to the side that has a shade in that. It'll
Mhm.
still give the room, depending on the size of the room, it'll still give that elevated level of
Yeah.
lighting that you need. So lighting is very important, and your audio. Always do, Shannon, a sound check first. Make sure, I mean, I've had some people where I've gone on summits and they didn't, or sponsorships. I had a person that I knew quite well, and she spent a lot on a sponsorship. And I guess she did not listen and do her sound check and was all muffled.
Oh,
She
no.
spent thousands of dollars. And I thought, oh, do I tell her afterwards? I'm always telling people, giving feedback. And I thought, nah, not this time. And when I saw her a few weeks later, I said, did you fix your sound? Always do the set. She goes, my sound was off. I said, no one told you? She said,
Oh,
no. So that's where it's really important to have someone that, you know, is
yeah.
actually mentoring you through this and making sure that everything is a go ahead.
Yeah, I really, that resonates because I know for me, this podcast, for example, I did one episode at home, and the sound quality, the difference was incredible to me. And some people have said to me, "Oh, who cares? Like, it's a podcast." Well, you know, to me, and I think this is part of what I want to talk to you about as well. To me, it just sort of gave this less than professional vibe, right? And that's what I want for the podcast. So talk a little bit about, why do these things even matter? Because, and I'm sure you have stories, just like the one you told. Why do these, you know, some people go, oh my gosh, I'm not doing my colors, or who cares if I'm lighted properly? Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, well, let me take you back to the beginning because it's a good story. So I was doing a 3-day event, and it was a skincare event at a high-end retail store here in Toronto. And on that third day, you know, it was grueling. It was a very long 3 days, but we did great sales. The clients were happy. I was exhausted but proud. But I saw the cosmetic manager coming towards me, Shannon, and I thought, oh gosh, she's going to congratulate us and maybe even invite me back. But instead, she actually sat me down and she said that she wasn't moving forward going to have me back at the store because my look did not align with the image of the store. Shannon.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, I was just shocked. I was speechless. It was the absolute opposite of what I thought, because I was great at what I did.
Yeah.
And this is another reason why this is so important to me. So I just was speechless. I was embarrassed. I
Yeah.
thought about it and I thought, oh my gosh, no one had ever said this to me. And I thought, wait a minute. I had my talent. I had my skill set. It wasn't about the money I brought in because I did lots of sales, but she was basically saying that I did not present myself successfully.
Wow.
And I wasn't showing up the way, this is how I translated it. I didn't show up the way that they needed to see me to invest in me. That changed everything, because you ask about why it's important. People need to be elevated, especially, I mean, let's be real, we're going into a recession. It's probably going to be maybe one of the worst ones. How do you stand out? You have to elevate everything that's going on in your frame so that people lean in and look at you and think, I'm willing to put money on this person because I can see from what they're showing me that they're going to bring me to another level of success that I don't have right now. So you cannot show up the same as, and especially not less than. So your presence online shows credibility, or it's going to make them want to ask questions. And if they're asking questions, you're already losing them. And eventually you're going to lose them even quicker because you haven't nailed it.
So true. I mean, you know, and I think people that fight that, first of all, some people might say, well, I don't want somebody who wants to do business with me just because of the way I look. But if you think about it in the opposite way, when you see someone that's disheveled or, they're disorganized or what have you, you do make these subtle, you take implications from that to say they probably aren't going to be polished. They're not going to, if I hire them, they're going to be haphazard in how they do their work or whatever that is. So it is real. I mean, people do, we all, right? We have websites or you have this, you want people to respond positively to that.
Shannon, it's true because I had a client that she worked in a hospital, lost her job. On a summit, I had told her that my talk was coming out and it was all about how to show up online. And she had a job interview the next day, but it was going to be by phone. But it just so happened I phoned her that morning before her interview and said, hey, my talk's out. You're going to get it. She goes, I already got it. I'm already putting on makeup and everything. And she said her husband walked by her and said, why are you getting all done up if your interview is on by phone? And she said, I don't know. I feel like it. I feel energized. I feel great. It's putting me in a different mindset. Everything. She gets the call and doesn't her potential boss, who evidently, I'll tell you the end, he says, can we switch it to video? Incredible. He switched it. I don't know if this was like intentional, but she was ready.
Yeah.
He even, before she jumped on, she changed something in her background and he came on. I mean, this is very generic, but I mean, it was a man and he looked and he's like, wow, that's impressive. Even what you're wearing, there's a color in your background that matches. And her head was thinking, oh my goodness, that was all on purpose. She ended up getting the job. And now it's been 1 year. And he was so impressed how she showed up.
Yep.
It brought energy too. She was ready. So you need to be camera ready. You need to be able to, have that speech ready, have the words ready. Feel the energy, prep yourself in mindset before you go on, because energy is what is going to attract your ideal client.
Yeah. Definitely. This is such a great story. And I think too, I think a lot of people, and I'm sure you've seen this, I've seen it a lot in corporate, but just even still, speaking to people and other entrepreneurs and stuff, they won't go on the camera. They won't turn the camera on. And a couple of things with that, like, first of all, I just think, I always say it's like somebody showing up in real life and just putting a towel over their head at the meeting, in the conference, right? It's just, you're at a meeting, you should be engaged. The other thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is the perception of that. It gives disinterest. It gives disengagement when you're not on camera. And I think some people go, oh, I look terrible today, or whatever the case may be. But having been a leader and seeing this happen, there's almost 100% of the time, the people that were consistently not turning their cameras on were people that were having some kind of issue at work. Like, that wasn't good, right? Like performance or something like that, because they weren't engaged. So there's a lot you can take from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, I understand sometimes that this could be overwhelming. I mean, lots of people, and from yourself, you'll hear all the time people say that they have tech challenges.
Yeah.
But you never hear them say, well, I have wardrobe challenges. It's like they don't understand, and it's the awareness of how it really translates. And you see people are online all the time. They're in their classes that they've paid $10, $20, $30, $40,000. But and I mean, it sounds judgmental, but it's awareness.
Yeah.
Because even when you're showing up, look at those as practice pods. And try things different. If you're spending that much on marketing, if you're spending that much on your coaches and you have these classes, the thing is, at the end of the day, all of that is going to be knowledge for you. But if you're not showing up looking your optimal best, bringing your best to the screen, people are going to just pass you by for something better, especially as we're going into tougher times.
Yeah.
People are slower to spend. So you need to up your game. And going back, Shannon, to what you said about, people don't realize that this is impactful.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're really just not filling their programs and they're not getting the results they want, they need to just look and see what part of this success puzzle do I not have, or there's a gap. You have the expertise, you have the skill set, but how are you showing up on camera?
Yeah. How are you showing up on camera in real life? How are you showing up?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. No, great insight. Going back to some practical stuff, because I've been looking at your background, very impressive. I love the balance of it all. Let's talk about that. So I know a lot of people also like to use the virtual backgrounds. I'm not a big fan of it. Like here, this is a green screen. At home, I have a green screen. It does make even a virtual background look better. What are some things people can do for a real background, and what are your thoughts on those virtual backgrounds or green screens?
So I was on a class yesterday, and I knew someone who had a real background, and it was really busy. It was okay, but it was busy. So yesterday I saw her and she had a virtual background. So I just wanted to make sure, because it was very good. It looked real. So I had to ask, and she said, no, it's virtual. And I said, well, good for you. It looks pretty good. So if you take the time to really look, if you have the green screen,
yeah,
and you're utilizing that in your computer where it'll say, virtual with a green screen, you could get some pretty good things.
Yeah.
Now, the psychology of it all. Do people like to see more natural? And I mean, let's not go into people saying, natural skincare and everything, because they take natural to a new level. So natural meaning, like this.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. People are looking and think, I can see behind the screen. I can see who you are.
You are.
Yeah. And I'm bringing my story to life. The simplicity, maybe like I have the bricks, I have the one color.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes people feel like they know you a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
To tell you the truth, I don't know if it's just me. Sometimes I look at the virtual screen and I think, what's behind all there? Is it
what's really going on?
Yeah. What's going on back there? Like, is it just a mess? Like, what does that person's life look like behind there?
Yeah.
A sense.
What are they hiding?
That's right. It's true. I do that.
Yeah.
And for that background, I mean, you can curate pieces that bring your story to life, whether it's, certificates, books,
yeah,
whatever can bring part of you to it without it being distracting. And you can do that. And I mean, it's very simple. I always say, use like even a bubble chart and say, what is it that you want to portray to your audience? What are your values that you want them to take away? And we start with that. And I start bringing things in, because I don't want to be known as a stylist. It is so much more than styling. I'm like a visual stylist, but I'm strategic.
Yeah, there's thought behind it. And I love what you're saying about the background, because it's almost like a lost opportunity if you don't put some things there that really reflect who you are. I've seen really cool ones, like mostly bookshelves and maybe little trinkets that are not distracting, but also share something about the person.
And I have, Shannon, some mentors of my own that they're powerhouses, and they show up with, say, a bookshelf behind them, and it's intense, like a cobalt blue.
Yeah.
And I'm mesmerized, because they'll wear colors that really make them stand out in front of that. And I literally feel great going to their class. And I thought about it the other day. Obviously, I'm getting good information, but I'm getting a visual that's appealing. And
Mm.
honestly, it makes me show up for this woman's class all the time.
Yeah, that's
And what
interesting.
shows up. I
Yeah.
would love to do a survey on that because I'm telling you, it goes a long way, even unconsciously, because everything is so fast paced. Everything is so mundane. We need something that really we gravitate to, and colors make that happen. And I do all of these colors with that person, depending on the words they use, depending on what they want their audience to see them as.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Well, and
know,
color equals energy, right? It can be up or down. And so if you want that cobalt blue, it really gives energy. Or if you want something more soothing, you can use it to your advantage.
yeah. And does that color work for you?
Right.
You know,
Right.
you might love to wear red, but that color is actually not, it's distracting people instead of enhancing you. So
Right.
there's, so much to go on. That's where the strategy comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, the only I do like a natural background for certain things. If I'm teaching a session online, I don't really like that. But I don't like when I see people's bedrooms. I don't know why.
Right.
Even if they're tidy, it just is like strange. I mean, unless that's what they're talking about, if it's like a podcast or something and it's, I don't know, whatever, boudoir or whatever. But
Yeah.
I do think and it's like, why do I not like that? There's a mindset behind it. Why does yours feel very soothing right now? Because I think there's symmetry. You're framed correctly. Yeah, it's so interesting what thoughts go on when you see certain things.
That's right. And sometimes you're not even aware till you're put in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, it's like they say, first impressions, it used to be 7 seconds. It's now within 3 seconds. We're going quicker.
Yeah.
And people are scrolling by. So what makes them stop? It's
Right.
all these things that we're talking about. And, it's just like in the bedroom, doing your calls from there. Yeah, it's definitely something that's a no-no, unless that's to do with
Right.
what your message is or you're speaking about. But
Yeah.
definitely allocate a space that, I mean, if it has natural lighting, I mean, that's great. We spoke about lighting, and it shifts your mindset.
Yeah.
If it's in your house, obviously, you can leave one area, especially if you're a mom, if you have other things going on, and that is your space where
Mhm.
you're making your calls, where you're doing your podcast, potentially Facebook Lives, your interviews, whatever the case, it goes a long way.
Mhm.
You change when you step in that room.
Yeah, and I think even if you don't have the space, if you are forced to be in your bedroom, there are, green screens that are just pop-up green screens
Absolutely.
where that background looks so much better than the virtual, where your head starts to get cut off from the real.
That's
So I'm with you. One other practical tip, what about, we talked a little bit before you came on about grooming, skincare, makeup, all of that. How does that play a role in showing up on camera?
So again, it's whether you're cool tone or a warm tone, it makes you look polished, makes you look refreshed. I mean,
Do people need to use more makeup? If they use makeup, should they put more on? Like, they say for photographs, for example. What's the rule of thumb on that?
for photographs and everything, it's a little bit so camera ready. If you're camera ready, I mean, if you really want to do things like headshots and that, it's a little bit different. So let's just do camera ready. I personally, a lot of things, and people have heard me say this, my 2 things that people always forget in their programs is toner, which they call lotion or toner. This is essential because this is what puts hydration into your skin.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say, I cleanse, moisturize, that's it. Or they don't even do that, surprisingly. So I try to put them on something very basic. And you have to cleanse, tone, moisturize. That is essential. This is going to start making your skin look more hydrated and refreshed. If you are going to be on camera like a podcast day, always, always, always do a mask first. Do a creamy hydration mask. I have a certain technique that I use. Everyone follows directions. I'm outside the box just because I've done it so much and it works. So what you want to do is you take the creamy mask. I put on the back of my hand, lighten it up with water, put it all over your face so it's visible. And then for about 10 minutes, it shouldn't deter you from getting ready in the morning, whatever you need to do. Every few, say 2 minutes, walk to your sink, add some water, lighten it up because you're lightening up the viscosity of it and your skin's able to absorb it. By the end of 10 minutes, it's practically gone. But what it's going to do is elevate the hydration level in your skin. Your makeup's going to go on better. Even if you do a no makeup look, which means you're not putting a lot of makeup on, it's all about the skin first and foremost. If your skin looks radiant, it's because it has a boost of hydration, which is water content. Masking is imperative, and people look at that as luxury. Oh, I have time for a mask today. It's Sunday. No. Every 3-4 days, you should be doing a mask if you want to look the way that people want to see you online. Definitely.
Oh, I love that tip. That's really good. That's great. Yeah,
and
it's important.
Another big one is lips, eyebrows. These are very important. You need to have these. I mean, I'm wearing glasses and same with you, so it hides. But if you're not, these are things that people gravitate to, they see first. So always make sure the threes is your eyebrows, eyes, and lips.
And how about for men? What changes when we're talking about men? They can still do a mask, I imagine, right?
Absolutely. I mean, men, it's a different story. Believe it or not, men have thicker skin. Like truly, they have more layers. And that's because they shave and everything. Their skin, for the most part, is usually very, very good. It's usually better than women's skin. The thing is the industry dehydrates men because they make them believe that they have to have foams and gels and exfoliators. They're already getting exfoliation if they do any sort of like shaving, anything. It's very important for them to do things like even a milk cleanser. Do a gentle cleanse in the shower because they're not going to do all their steps. Some do. But if they have like a pump, but it's a milky cleanser, it's giving their skin more hydration. It's going to soften any lines. It's going to actually give more intense water content to their skin. They're going to show up literally after they do that 1 or 2 times. In 24, 48 hours, they will look different. Guaranteed, 100%.
That's great advice.
Always have to use a moisturizer to lock it in. If they could do the 3-step cleanse, tone, moisturize, then honestly, they're on their way to looking like $1 million.
That's good.
And
that's good. Nice and easy. That's great. This is such good practical information, but also information about the why behind this is, why this is important. So as we close, what is one thing a listener could do to immediately improve how they show up on camera?
So first and foremost, off camera, start taking measures to go in your closet. Look at the solid colors that you have. Do the gold and silver test so you can see what colors. Start playing with that outside of camera and then go on camera and start playing with it. Start doing, we didn't talk about like say in the frame, the 1/3, make sure that you are 1/3 your eyes from the top of the screen. That's where the placement should be.
Okay.
Make sure that you're more, instead of being further, you're more disengaged.
Mm.
Be closer to the screen. Use the screen. If you need to speak, then, people want to feel you're real.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So let them feel your energy. Speak with your hands. Use this frame. It's like your best friend and you're speaking to one person.
That's great.
Play with it. Play with it because you're only going to get better and you're going to start feeling more confident and you're going to bring your true nature and self to the screen, and people are going to like you. And if they don't, they were never your ideal client.
to begin with. Yeah. And it's easy enough to practice. And I actually think it's kind of fun at home, trying out different rooms or areas or different backgrounds on the green screen. So this is super helpful, Kellyanne. Before we totally wrap up, can you tell me where people can find out more about you and your business?
Absolutely. They can go to my website, which is Kellyanne Lauzon. They can go to Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I have a Captivate guide that will really help your audience take a look at every aspect that we just discussed, so that it's that starting point to elevating their online presence, and they can work from there. They can always, book. When I'm on these, I think it's so important. So I always give my $297. It's an audit. I always give it complimentary for your guests.
Oh, wonderful. Where can they find that and sign up for that? On your website?
Yeah, on my website.
Okay.
And just helps them to start. And I know it's overwhelming, like we said. It sounds like so much information, but if you start somewhere, it just gets easy and it gets fun and it's rewarding, because in the end, you really get the investment back.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. And just so everyone knows, Kelly's last name is Lauzon, Kelly Ann, and that's Ann with an E if you're looking for her online. And I just really appreciate all this really practical information. I always love when we can give these nuggets of wisdom to people on the show. So thank you so much, Kellyanne, for being here today.
Oh, Shannon, thank you so much. I loved it. Thanks.
So much fun. Thanks, everybody. We are out.
Thanks for tuning in to True HR Beyond the Office. We hope today's episode inspired new ways for you to find fulfillment and purpose in your personal and professional life. If you found value in our conversation, let's keep it going. Follow us on social media and visit us at ShannonClarkJohnston.com to explore free tools, resources, and more about our speaking, coaching, and consulting services.